I shall honor our agreement, Kareem, if you bring me the orb. But return to me again empty-handed, and I'll bathe the starways in your blood. Mad Alliance was howling as Joe, aka Mad Joe C. So in this MADTalk Avengers Infinity War related video, I'm going to discuss something that a few of you have wanted me to discuss is my thoughts on all of the deaths and who do I think is permanently dead and who do I think is coming back. So I'm going to go through all the deaths in order from the very first death to the last death, and I'm even going to discuss the snap deaths or deaths, if you want to air quote it. But yeah, let's get into it. So, who did Heimdall? Heimdall was the first to die, and it didn't really, I wasn't sad or anything about, like when you're not really sad about a death per se, you're not really sad and about to be in tears, but it's more just like, oh man, wow, really? That was kind of my thoughts on Heimdall's death, and I loved how his character evolved from, all the way from the first Thor movie all the way to Ragnarok. He became, he was a good fighter and stuff since the first Thor movie, but he just became this kind of rogue warrior type person once Asgard was infiltrated and taken over by Hela. Heimdall's like, okay, I need to get the Dodge out of here, and so he became this kind of rogue warrior type person. At least, to me, that's what it seems like he did, and I really liked his new look. I loved Idris Elba as the character, so I was sad to see him go, but it isn't like it affected me too much. But I did like the character, and it really showed that Thanos wasn't joking. He was really a force to be reckoned with. Thanos wasn't here to play games. He was taking names, and yeah, he took Corvus's glaive, and is that what it's called? It's actually called I think, is it actually called a glaive, or is it just a spear? I think it's actually called a glaive. Either way, he took it, and yeah, he just freaking put in Heimdall and took him out. Thanos really was a force to be reckoned with. And the second death, this one did hit me a little bit. Even though we've seen him die twice already, it hits you because this time he's dead. At least I'm gonna talk about this. Loki. So what are my thoughts? It hit me pretty hard. I wasn't in tears, but it did hit me hard because I came and let's just talk about Loki a little bit, okay? So yes, he's the god of mischief, but I think we can all agree that we all like Loki. We all like Loki to an extent. You have, you know, um some people loved him as a villain in the Avengers, and then he kind of stole the show a little bit in certain scenes in Thor: The Dark World. And also you have like crazy the fandom people who like absolutely love certain characters. Yeah, those people. I was a person who really came to love Loki. When did I really start liking him? I really started liking him in the Avengers because he absolutely killed it as a villain. But to me, he kind of became like more of a anti-hero. He's the god of mischief. Mischief doesn't always necessarily mean you're a villain per se. It just means you're doing things you shouldn't be, mischievous things. So to me, he kind of became more of a anti-hero, especially near the end of Ragnarok when he was helping save the people of the people of Asgard, and I just really love how his character arc has been developed throughout the MCU. He was this villainous person, and throughout all the movies he became this anti-hero, and I can't classify Loki a villain. I really from the Avengers, to now I can't classify Loki as a villain anymore. I just classify him as a anti-hero. Maybe not even a anti well yeah, anti-hero, because an anti-hero is just like a person who does they're not necessarily trying to be a hero. It's just they're doing good things, and sometimes it doesn't matter what the cost is to do those good things. You know, like the Punisher, he kills people, but it's for the right reasons at the end of the day. Um, so basically, what I'm saying is, I don't consider Loki a villain anymore. And yeah, like I said, I really love how his character arc has been developed, and I really came to like Loki. And like I said, I'm pretty sure we all like Loki to a degree. And I knew Loki was gonna die, okay? Before the movie came out, I knew Loki was gonna die because in all the trailers, we had only seen Loki, um, you know, at the parts where Thanos had invaded the Asgardian ship. We had only seen Loki in those parts. We saw him give Thanos his Tesseract. We saw him at Spear Point by approximately midnight, surrounded by the Black Order. You know, I personally, I thought Thanos was just gonna. Personally, I thought Thanos would kill him, you know, after he gave him the Tesseract, just because, first, Loki failed Thanos in the first Avengers. He gave Loki the scepter to retrieve the Tesseract, and then he ended up losing both of those. Two Infinity Stones, one of them that Thanos had in his grasp. And then, you know, after he gives him the Tesseract, it's like, well, you've already failed me anyway, and now I don't need you anymore. So I thought he would just kill Loki right there on the spot, but he actually, you know, he actually let Loki live. So if Loki didn't do what he did, he could survive by why he was trying to do what he did, because, you know, he obviously didn't want Thanos. Like I said, this is where the anti-hero part comes in. Even though Loki doesn't always have good intentions, at the end of the day, he knows it wouldn't have been a good thing for Thanos to get all 6 Infinity Stones. He knows that, that isn't even something he would probably want to do at the end of the day, you know? So he knew what the right thing was, and so he tried to take Thanos out, and because of that, he ended up going. And I think he's dead this time. I don't think for a few reasons. You know, one, Thanos, Loki's eyes was getting bloodshot red because Thanos was, and I even heard people saying that Tom Hiddleston was a little overdoing it with his acting in this part. I don't think that, because, guys, he was being choked by the Mad Titan. How is it overreacting the way you're getting the words out? How is it overreacting if you're supposed to be getting choked? Okay? I don't see how that's overreacting. But anyway, yeah, his eyes were bloodshot red, and then Thanos, you heard the snap. He snapped his neck. So, I don't think Loki's coming back. And also because if they bring him back a third time, I think it's just beating a dead horse. If they do it a third time, it's just beating a dead horse. That's what I call it. So, as much as I liked Loki, I think he's had a good developed character arc. He's had a lot of good moments in the MCU, and a lot of people came to like him. And he had some redemption within his character. So I think it was a good and noble way for him to go out, and I'm okay with his death. The next person to die was actually, because there were 4 deaths. I know there were at least 4 deaths that were not by the finger snap. Or maybe 5, because the Collector's one, but no, there was another more important person who died, and it wasn't by the finger snap. Heimdall, Loki, and then there's one I'm not going to discuss until later. I'll have to think about it, but either way, so the Collector was the next person to die, and let's be honest here, I'm pretty sure none of us really had any bad feelings about the Collector. I mean, obviously he was cool as a character. It's cool that they brought him into the MCU. It was cool to see him, and we actually didn't even see his death, so that makes it even less sad than it would have been if we were to see it. Yeah, he was the next person to die, so that death didn't really impact me at all. But this next death, man, man, this next death was the death that got me the second most. I would say Loki's got me the third most. This death got me the second most. And what I mean by most is in emotion wise, almost about to cry wise, was Gamora's death. Man. Man. Let's talk about Gamora's death, actually. So, man, this thing is, it got me more the second time, actually, than the first time. I don't know why it was, but it got me more the second time. And I think it's maybe because I was able to sit back and take it all in more and take in stuff more that Gamora had said early in the film, like how she told Peter, like, I might not be coming back from this if Thanos gets me. I want you to know that I love you and stuff. And they share that first kiss, you know. And yeah, it was sad that it was like, this was one point in the film where I know I'm supposed to be talking about the deaths, but you know, anyway, this was one point in the film that actually made me feel for Thanos when, you know, she was like, really? Tears? And then Red Skull's like, those tears are for you. Those tears are for you. And, you know, Thanos didn't want to do it, but he was like, I've already ignored my destiny once. I can't do it again, even for you, even though you're the one thing I love. I can't ignore my destiny twice. And so threw her over the cliff. And yes, major spoilers if I should have said that earlier. Well, actually, no. If you haven't seen the movie by now, I don't really know what to tell you. I'm sorry, but yeah, this has spoilers in it. If you haven't seen the movie, I don't know what to tell you. It's been out for over 2 weeks, okay? I'm talking all spoilers. But yeah, it was really sad, and the music did not help whatsoever. The music didn't help at all. And yeah, you know, like, we knew since the first Guardians her relationship with Thanos, and she was developed really well throughout just 2 films. Throughout just 2 films, in my opinion, her character alone was fleshed out well. Her relationship with Thanos was fleshed out well, even though we didn't even see them interact until Avengers Infinity War. Then the 2 Guardians films, her relationship with Thanos was fleshed out well just because of all the dialogue and backstory that we got. And then her and Nebula's relationship was fleshed out as well, and we understand Nebula's motivations and why she wants to kill Thanos, and that's one thing that she wanted to do in the Infinity Gauntlet comic. You know, she didn't like Thanos because of what he did to her. So I like how they translated that over into the MCU as well. But yeah, Gamora's death, yeah, really got me. You know, Thanos having to kill his daughter to get the Soul Stone. I'm trying to think of the last person who died and it wasn't by the snap. It's kind of getting to me now, because okay, Heimdall, Loki, Gamora. I'm not putting the Collector in this because yes, he died, but I'm talking about like the 4 important characters who died, but not by the snap. And I can't think of the 4th person, and it's getting to me now because I really want to discuss it. I can't think of who it is. Man, that's gonna get to me for a while, and then watch right after I'm done recording this video, I'm gonna remember who it was. So I can't remember who it is. So I got Vision. Yeah, it was Vision. Thank God I remembered. Because I was about to talk about the deaths after the snap, and then I remembered he had to get the stone out of Vision's head in order to do the snap. So I was like, yes, this is a Vision. Do I think he's dead, though? Well, first, did his death impact me? Did it make me sad or anything? It isn't like I was about to cry or anything, but it was more of just the same like Heimdall. I was just like, man, wow, he's gone. But I saw it coming. Okay, what people were thinking was that, and it's actually what could have happened, is Vision would have the Mind Stone out of his head before Thanos got to him. That's what people were thinking would happen, so that way he wouldn't have to die. But no, Thanos, they weren't able to do it in time. So Thanos eventually just ended up ripping it out of his head and killing him. And I kind of saw it coming. I wasn't really one to lean to that theory people had of he'll be able to get the stone out of his head in time. I was like, it's a possibility. But I really just think Thanos is going to end up taking it from his head. That's exactly what happened. And I was just like, man, he's gone. And do I think he'll come back, though? I don't know. I don't know. Do I, like, I'm kind some part of me thinks he could, because I mean, he is, well, not necessarily a robot, but he's an android, I guess you could say, So I do think there could be some way to bring him back to where he doesn't have to be powered by the Mind Stone, but the Mind Stone was his power source, though, because obviously after it was ripped out, he died. So obviously that was his power source. But maybe they could find another power source to power Vision. So if they could possibly come up with another power source for him, then maybe he could come back. But other than that, I don't know if he could really come back. Now let's talk about the snap deaths or deaths. First, let me give you guys my thoughts on if I think they're all really dead. Do I think they're all really dead? Yes. I think all the people who got snapped away, I think they're dead, because what Thanos said, what he would keep saying, if all I have to do is, if I have all the stones, all I have to do is snap my fingers, and all these people are gone from existence. So some people are, there are theories going around saying they could be in the soul world, which, yes, that is something I think could be possible too, but I think when they dispersed, I think that was them dying. I personally think they're all really dead. Now, do I think some of them will be brought back? Obviously, because a lot of these characters are like pretty A-list Marvel heroes, and some of them have sequels coming. So obviously they're going to be brought back some way. We just don't. Then again, the Russo said all of the deaths were permanent, and some people are like, well, what about the snap deaths, since they might not be confirmed as deaths? But then again, they also said that the events of Infinity War won't be undone. So that really makes you question things. But anyway, let's actually talk about the individual deaths. So Bucky was the first one to go. Bucky's, it hit me harder a second. Some of these hit me harder a second time. Like I said, like Gamora's. Bucky's hit me harder a second time, just because I was thinking of everything that him and Steve had been through together. When Steve, I went over to him and knelt down, Bucky's did. I wasn't about to cry or anything, but it did hit me pretty hard, just because of, well, I won't even say hard, but it did hit me just because of the relationship that him and Steve had. Who was the next person to go by the snap? I think T'Challa was the next person to go. T'Challa's, some of these, we know they're getting sequels and stuff, so some of these didn't hit as hard as they could have. But see, this is the thing. T'Challa's didn't hit me as in I was really sad. T'Challa's hit me by surprise, because I thought it was going to be Okoye. When T'Challa ran over to her, he was like, this is no place to die. I thought when he picked her up, I thought she would turn into dust. I wasn't expecting an A-list superhero to be the one to turn to dust. So T'Challa's, it didn't hit me as in man, this is sad. T'Challa, because I knew he'll, if he was to die, he would come back. But T'Challa's just hit me by surprise. It was like, wow, the Black Panther, the King of Wakanda, the A-list superhero, he's the one to go, Who was next? Most of the Guardians went. But Sam was the next one to go, I think. Sam's, in all honesty, it didn't, I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I'm not going to lie and say, wow, it didn't even hit me, really. It was just like, wow, well, okay, he's gone, I'm not saying I don't care about him or anything. I like the Falcon character, I really do. He's awesome. It's just, it didn't really hit me in any type of way. Wanda. I wouldn't really say hers hit me either. I mean, it made me feel bad because of everything her and Vision I went through, and then the 2 years between Civil War and Infinity War, that really became a thing, and their relationship really was sprinkled out well throughout, from Age of Ultron to Civil War to Infinity War. Their relationship was really developed well and sprinkled out piece by piece through these films. So, and she was mourning Vision, when she dispersed. So it did hit me, but it isn't like it impacted me too much. Who else? Because there were some people that went before the Guardians, so I want to discuss everybody who left on Wakanda first. Groot, man, Groot's death hit me way harder the second time, because the first time I saw it, it was on opening night. So a lot of stuff has been revealed since then. And it was revealed by James Gunn. Someone asked, it might be too much, but can I ask what Groot actually said right before he dispersed? What did he say to Rocket? And James Gunn was like, spoiler, ... Dad. Groot called Rocket Dad. So the second time I watched it, and you hear him say, I am Groot, and you know that he's saying Dad, and then he's just dispersed, and Rocket's like, no. And the fact that he already lost him once, yeah, Groot's hit pretty. Okay, so yeah, I'll actually discuss in order of whose deaths hit me the hardest after I discuss the final death, which was also the saddest. So after Groot, it was the Guardians, right? I want to make sure I got everybody from Wakanda, and I think I did. So Mantis was the first of the Guardians to go. It didn't really affect me at all. I mean, I love the Mantis character, she's funny, she's adorable. It's always funny seeing her, So yeah, it didn't really affect me in any way, though. I was just like, wow, she's gone. Drax, his didn't even affect me really too. I would say most of the only Guardian's death that affected me really was Gamora's, and hers was the actually only real death. Well, actually, I do need to talk about her death. I'll discuss it a little bit because there's something I forgot to mention that people are saying. After Drax, it was Quill. His didn't really affect me either. Like I said, most of the Guardians' deaths that affected me was really just Gamora's. And people are saying that she's actually alive in the soul world, because we saw the young Gamora. People are saying that young Gamora is the spirit and kind of the conscience from the body of the actual dead Gamora. That's what people are saying. So they're saying that, like, basically her spirit and her conscience is alive in the soul world in the form of little Gamora, because Thanos sees her as his little girl. So that's what people are saying about Gamora. I'm not necessarily sure, because we saw her, she didn't die by the snap, she actually died. So I don't know what to think right now about Gamora. Is her spirit and conscience alive in the soul world, or is she just absolutely completely dead? I don't know what to think at the moment, but that's what people are saying. This death got me the most, and this death was the number one saddest death for me. Spider-Man's Peter Parker. You guys are probably like, Joe, come on, he's coming back. His sequel is about to start filming soon. We know he's coming back. Yeah, but listen, okay? First, you get really attached to certain characters. And second, the way it was executed. It doesn't matter that we knew he had a sequel coming. Like Black Panthers, we know he has a sequel coming, but it was like his wasn't sad. And even though we know he has a sequel coming, it was the fact that I was taken by surprise, because you would think it would be Okoye that dispersed and not an A-list character. So his was like, wow, they took out an A-list character. So it was the way that was executed. It was the same thing for Peter Parker. Like I said, you get attached to people, and then it was the way it was executed. The way Peter was like, first, Peter could tell he was going. It's a few things that made Peter's death really sad. I was attached to him. The way it was executed, and the fact that he knew something was happening to him because of his spider sense. His spider sense let him know before he actually started dispersing. He was like, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. And then, he went to him and was hugging him. And was like, I don't want to go. And then he said, like, I'm sorry to Mr. Stark, basically like, I'm sorry for not going home like you said. I'm sorry for maybe he felt he failed Stark in a way as well. So it was just really sad, and it made me cry. Like I said before, I've never cried during watching any movie, but Peter Parker's death, it made me cry. It really did make me cry. Now, how could I have almost forgotten this? Doctor Strange's death. His death, again, it took me by surprise, because I wasn't sad or anything. Well, I mean, I was a little sad, I guess I would say, because I really liked the Doctor Strange character. But it was more like T'Challa's. It took me by surprise. It was like, oh my God, another A-list hero. Did his death happen before Peter's? I think his death did happen, or did it happen after Peter's? Because I remember him saying it was the only way, and then he was gone. I think Doctor Strange's death was the last death. So yeah, let's talk about it. So, like I said, it was the way it was executed. It was like, wow, another A-list hero gone. 3 A-list heroes gone. Black Panther, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange. Even though we know they're all coming back because they've all been well received in the MCU, and they're all pretty much getting sequels. Doctor Strange, his sequel isn't confirmed, but lots of people love the character, especially after his fight with Thanos on Titan and Infinity War. And I didn't think it would happen because Doctor Strange is very important. We know that, and it was, he's the one who saw all the possible outcomes of how Thanos would be defeated, and we know he's very important, a very important A-list character. So it's the fact that he was one of the people to be dispersed by the snap, it just hit me by surprise, and it was like, wow, I can't believe Marvel was actually gutsy enough to do that. I think those were all the deaths by the snap, and like I said, did they all die? Me personally, I do think when they dispersed, that was their death. I don't think they were taken anywhere. I really do think they died, because remember, Thanos' goal was to kill half of the population on all planets, not just Earth, but on all planets, and kill half of the universe. That was his goal, not take them anywhere, not put them somewhere else, but to kill them. So that's why I think they're all dead. I really do think they're all dead. Those were all of the deaths. And well, I do want to talk about this right quick. Did Thanos go? Was Thanos one of the people to be wiped away from the snap? Wait. Yeah. There's something else I just thought of that I wanted to talk about. Two more deaths from the snap. But I'll discuss that after I discuss this. Was Thanos one of the people to go from the snap? I don't think so. Why? Because we saw him at the end. We saw him walking with his, bruised arm from the snap. And we saw him sit on the porch on the sunset and was like, I've achieved my goal. He was just sitting in peace and happiness. So that right there tells me, no, he didn't go. You guys are probably like, well, Joe, why did we see Thanos in the Soul Stone, in the Soul World? Then explain that to us. Well, I think what happened was after Thanos did the snap, I think maybe during that, when he did the snap when he had that conversation with Gamora, and she was like, did you do it? He was like, yeah, it cost me everything though. And then he is out of his, I guess his conscience or his inner self, his spirit, came back into his physical body after that short conversation that he had. That's my explanation for that. I don't think he was one of the people to go from the snap. I think he's still alive, obviously because of the very end of the movie. And then these last two people, Maria Hill and Nick Fury. Yes, it was the post-credit scene, but they were two people to go by the snap. And Maria Hill's didn't really affect me at all. I mean, it was more of just like, wow, she's gone. I mean, I liked her character, but it isn't like it affected me at all. And even Nick Fury's, it didn't affect me at all. Again, it just took me by surprise because Nick Fury, he's Nick Fury. He's an important character, even though he hasn't been in he didn't have a big part in Age of Ultron. He hasn't had a big part in these movies lately. He hasn't even been in these movies lately. But just the fact that they killed off an important character like Nick Fury, it was like, wow, that's surprising that they killed Nick Fury, I think now that's definitely it. I've discussed every death, my thoughts on every death, and what people do I think are permanently dead. So basically what I'm saying is all the people who actually died and all the people who died by the snap, I think everybody who died is dead. Do I think some will come back? Yes, like Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and Spider-Man, and all the people who died from the snap, I think that they will come back in some way. But do I think that they're actually dead? Yes, I do think that they actually died. Okay. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on all the deaths. Let me know your thoughts. You don't even have to go through all the deaths like I did because that would be a heck of a lot to do in the comment section. But if you want to, you can. Or just go through specific deaths, like which ones hit. I forgot to mention this. Which ones hit me the most? So now that I've discussed them all, this is in order from the most to the least most. I guess I'll do a top 5. So from most to least most, Spider-Man, Gamora, Groot, Loki, and I don't think there is a fifth. Those are just the ones that hit me the most. Spider-Man, Gamora, Groot, Loki. Or would I put Loki above Groot? I would put Loki above Groot. So, okay, I'm sorry. Spider-Man, Gamora, Loki, Groot. Those are the 4 deaths that hit me the saddest because of the way that they were executed. So yeah, that officially covers everything I wanted to discuss in this video. But my thoughts on all the deaths, definitely a video that I wanted to do. So like I said, discuss down below in the comments your thoughts on all the deaths, or either just specific deaths, like which ones hit you the hardest. If you enjoyed this video, let me know what you thought. Links for my social media will be down below in the description box. Smash the like button. Share this video with anyone you feel would enjoy. If you are new around here and you like what you see, tap the subscribe button and ding dong the notification bell to join the MAD Alliance on our journey to 100,000 1,000 subscribers. My name's Joe, aka Mad Joe FC. Hope you all have a marvelous day. Mad out. Mad. Strong. Together.